Okay. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Today we're going to be talking about the proposed major service changes for Route 5 and 22. Presenting today is Rhett Crowninshield. He is a transit administrator for the Department of Transportation and Mobility at the City of Tucson. We also have Davida Mueller, who's the Director of Service Planning and Development at Tran, and Shamara Smith, who's also part of the development and planning team at Tran. So we're going to go through about a 10-minute presentation, and then we're going to have a lot of time left over for question and answers. We really want to get everybody's input. So if you can, just hold your questions, or if you have something you want to share right away, feel free to send it in the chat. We will have Davida and Shamara looking at the chat, and if they can answer it in that moment, they will. But if you want to hold your questions till the end, that's okay too. So we'll go ahead and get started. Go ahead, Rhett.
Thank you, Luz. Thank you all for being here this evening to discuss the proposed major service changes for Route 5 and 22. The reason we're discussing these changes relates to Tran being asked to reduce its operational budget. In order to improve operations and better serve our community, we evaluated the 5 lowest performing routes and explored ways to use our resources more wisely. And to be clear, Route 5 is not our lowest performing route, it's just in that 5. So the 5 lowest performing routes include obviously Route 5, which is Pima to West Speedway, Route 15, which is on Campbell, Route 21, which goes from West Congress over to Silver Bell, Route 22, which is the El Rio and West Speedway area, and then Route 61, which is up north on La Troya. Route 5, why Route 5 in particular? Among the 5 routes, the lowest performance indicators, this proposal offered the most significant cost savings. Additionally, a portion of the existing alignment will continue to be served by a modified Route 22, ensuring continued coverage in key areas like Pima Community College West. So with the service change that has been proposed, the reduction in cost from Route 5 would be about $1.6 million, almost $1.7 million, in order to keep a portion of the route, which would then be integrated into Route 22 and extend to Pima Community College West. We would then invest an additional $557,000 in that Route 22 change. The total net savings is just about $1.1 million. So here we have a slide of our current routes. You can see Route 9 is above and it runs on Grant. You can see Route 5, which again runs off Pima and then comes down to Speedway, then going to Pima Community College West. And as you might know, what we want to do is take out a portion of Route 22, which goes through the El Rio neighborhood. Goes around the golf course. We want to flatten that piece of it out. We'll still have the 4, which runs on Speedway. And unfortunately, people will have to go either to the 9 or the 4 if they're on Pima. Here's another view of the proposed changes. And I saw that we have a question. We'll get to you in just a moment. And as you see this, you see where the Route 5 was on the dotted line. And you can see where Route 22 is currently. And again, that section will go away. Here's what the routes will look like if approved. Route 9 will obviously continue to serve Grant Road and then curl down to Pima Community College West. Route 4 will obviously stay intact, going out to Golf Links and then going down to Stone. You then see Route 22, the modified route, coming basically from south of downtown to Speedway and then over to Pima Community College West. So we've been putting together these public outreach meetings. Tonight is the final outreach meeting virtually. Yesterday we were at the William M. Clement Center, basically at Ward 4. The day before that we were at Morris Udall Rec Center. On Monday, we were at the Ward 1 Council office. On Friday, the 16th, we were at the Martha Cooper Library, and I suspect some of our folks were there that night as well that were here tonight. On Thursday, we had a day meeting at Quincy Douglas Library. On the 13th, last Thursday, a week ago, we were at Community College downtown campus. And then ahead of that, we had a virtual meeting on Monday, the 12th. And then prior that day, we were at the U of A Student Union Memorial Center, Cacho Room. So now we would love to have your feedback, and we will be taking notes. We will be collecting all of your comments, and I assure you we hear you, and we are always here. So you're always welcome to reach out to us. So let's go ahead and start with the feedback. Luz, do you want to start with the questions in the text, or do we want to allow people to raise their hands and then respond accordingly?
Sure, we'll go ahead and do the hand raise method. So I think Davita answered the question in the chat. They were asking what portion of Route 5 would be integrated into Route 22, and she brought up that the Route 22 would be going all the way to West Campus, which would be saving that. But we can answer Amanda's question. Amanda said, what routes are available to connect users to Route 9 or 4? Who used to take Route 5? So worded another way, what routes going north and south exist that connect users to alternative options? Davita, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I think I need to ask Amanda, can you unmute and
I can.
where would you be connecting to Route 4 or 5? Because there's a lot of routes, Route 4 or 9 that connect to both of those routes, either north-south or east-west.
I wouldn't necessarily, if I would be taking 34, but I'm just trying to think about feedback people would have and want to make sure that there are options being available, right? Because I know one of the big concerns is that how far it is to get to Route 9 and 5, that how many people who rely on Route 5. So I just want to know like what routes exist right now that would connect people to these alternative options, given that there's going to be a big chunk of people not served anymore.
Correct. I understand now. So if you are transferring at Stone and Speedway or Speedway and Stone, Route 16 and Route 19 both go north from that intersection. Route 4 is also at that intersection, both going into downtown and going north. Obviously, Route 4 would go east. At the terminus, you still have Route 4 going to along Speedway all the way east, and it intersects with all the north-south routes that you would expect to see along Speedway that could get you to Grant Road. So, without looking at the map, you can kind of see on here, the yellow lines are all of our routes. So if you were looking at Route 4, you see it connects right there at Speedway and Stone with the Route 22. But all the yellow lines that go north-south do connect with both the Route 9 and the Route 4. Does that answer your question?
It does, and that's helpful to know that the yellow lines are routes, because I just thought it was the map. So I think that helps people see the options. Thank you.
Right. You'll see it really light behind if you were looking at it online. You would see neighborhood streets and stuff. So these yellow lines are indeed other SunTrend routes on the map.
Thank you. Carissa and Dan, do you guys want to go ahead and unmute yourself and give your feedback?
I want to ask a question because I've taken this a lot, route number 5. I've taken it a lot to get to the School of the Deaf and the Blind, and so it doesn't look like 4 connects. So you're asking us to go 4 to 22. What's the extended time that, say, a family has to wait now to get this connection, and then now to do all the walking in the heat too?
Really good question. I would have to say I need to look at the ride guide myself, but let me look here really carefully so that I give you a good answer. So the nice thing is, because Route 4 does go to Ronstadt and so does Route 22, and they're both right there at Stone and Speedway. You could say that the wait would be less than 15 minutes between those two routes. But for example, I would say
Oh, even on the weekend though, I would say, I would caution you to say that because,
no,
yeah, okay.
that's a good question. So on the weekend, depends on the timing and which way you're going, but it could be half hour to an hour wait between, because Route 4 at that location is every 30 minutes, but Route 22 is hourly.
I would also like to point out that they are both on the on-demand zone. So if you were taking Route 4 and wanting to go to the School of Deaf and Blind, you could always schedule an on-demand to pick you up at Ronstadt and take you there as soon as the Route 4 gets you to Ronstadt. So if you haven't used the on-demand, it's a really good service that we have there.
So
on
what's
that
the
website.
cost to a family for that on-demand service?
Everything is free, so all your public transportation is still free.
Yeah, but when this expires, if it does, what would be the added cost? Because
We're
you're gonna
not
eliminate
sure.
this. So
We've
that's
never-
something I'd like to see factored in, because
Sure.
you're
So
eliminating this for savings, and then the family's gonna have to, a family would have to say on demand and then organize this. It
yeah,
could
I
be,
definitely understand what you're asking, Carissa. We started on demand in November of 2020, so we've never had fares. So that is something that we would have to implement and see what kind of fare structure we would have if fares do return. I'm gonna go to Norma.
How does that
Norma.
work on demand? I've never heard of that. How does it
Okay,
exactly?
I'll put the link for that one there for you guys. We can talk about it a little later. I'm gonna move to Norma just so we can get through everyone's questions on this particular thing. Norma, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yes, hi, good evening. My name is Dr. Norma Gonzalez, and I'm the principal at Catalina High School. Catalina's right off of Pima. And really this evening, I'd like to just express my deep concern over the proposed elimination of Route 5. I'm certain that this decision would significantly impact the safety and well-being of many of our students who rely on this route as their means of transportation. I'm urging Tran to reconsider the decision or explore other options. I think perhaps one possible alternative could be deploying a smaller bus operating a limited route Kima from Wilmot to Tucson Boulevard and Speedway during those peak school hours. And this would maintain essential access to our students without that full-size route. But at this point, as the principal of Catalina, I'm really concerned for the safety of our students with this elimination. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Norma.
Phoebe, go ahead.
Yeah, I came to also say that I'm concerned. I've been using the Route 5. I live right off like Pima and Wilmot. And there are a lot of apartment complexes here. There's like Sycamore Creek Apartments, there's the Icon on Pima, there's La Hacienda Apartments. There's some condominiums at like Tancaverde and Wilmot, or like the spot where Wilmot turns into Tancaverde and Pima, kind of. And the bus goes right past here, and I've been using it to get to Pima West Campus, Pima Downtown Campus, and the U of A through my entire schooling. Like I started doing this. And without it, it would have been really difficult to get to school. Because this route saves having to transfer or walk half a mile, which can get really difficult in some parts of the year. I know myself and like two other students who are friends of mine who live in the same apartment complex, we use this. I see a lot of older residents of these apartments using it, and for them, the walking half a mile to the 9 or the one on either the ones on Speedway would be quite difficult. There's also at Pima and I believe it's Seneca. There's Dodge Middle School. I see those students on the bus sometimes, and like at Catalina High School, that's already well covered. They use the bus too. I've even seen a school group using the Route 5 to get from Catalina to the U of A for a field trip. And there's just a lot of students and people living here that use this route often, and I'd be really concerned about losing it.
Thank you, Phoebe.
Kiana? Kiana?
Yeah, hi. So I am here representing the Dunbar Spring Neighborhood Association. In our last meeting, we did have some residents bring up some concerns as well as ending Route 5. I just wanted to kind of echo what Norma said and Phoebe and Devin, that this is a significant route, especially for university employees such as myself and a number of other people in our neighborhood over here. We're on Stone and Speedway, or Stone and Earth Main and Speedway. As well as the apartment complexes over here, housing a number of university students as well. So I just wanted to go ahead and echo my concern as well.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Margot?
Hello, good evening. So I think a number of the things that I had scribbled down that I wanted to talk about have been mentioned, but first of all is all the schools about along there, the middle school, the high school, Catalina, the Glenman Elementary School. It seems to me that it's when we want to teach young people to use the bus so they begin to get it as a pattern of their life, that's the place to start. I'm excited to hear that Catalina had a field trip, or a group of people went using the bus to go to the university. So I think that that's a really important part for leaving it in place the way it is. I also wanted to bring up all the apartments, which has also been mentioned along the route. We talk about increasing density in order to make the bus system more viable. Here's a place where there's density. Let's keep the buses there where we need them. I was the receipt of some comments by Gene Kaywood from May 20th. I wanted to support those and to say I think most of what, or all of what he wrote down, certainly I would be support, including I think the very interesting part that this is one of our older routes that's been going for a long time. And as a person who ran on keeping the bus system going in the 1970s and was elected on that to the city council, here is a route that was one of the ones we really supported and tried to keep in place and to keep going part of through the center. One could argue that perhaps the overlap on Speedway, perhaps makes it not quite so valuable, but actually it makes it more valuable because what happens is you cut down the times between people going into the downtown and going into the past the university and so forth. So that with that even shorter time between buses, if you could either take 4 or 5, it gives us that added punch of shorter times between buses coming along. And then I think the point made about taking it straight into Pima, I think this idea and past the school for the deaf and blind, I think that would be really hard to get off and have to transfer and to go on when there's a bus that's doing that currently. And I must say, I'm really disappointed that the reason it seems that this has been chosen out of the 5 that had the least, the least efficient, if we want to use that as a term, was that the amount of money could be saved. It seems to me that's such a horrible criterion to use for making this decision. Yes, we have to worry about how much it costs for things. And, we understand the problem of balancing the budget. But when you have such a valuable route for serving schools, for serving work, for serving people, the range of schools, it seems to me that the fact that it would save more money than some of the other routes really is a very weak excuse for picking this one. And therefore, I really hope the city council votes this down. And as the representative from Ward 6 to the Transit Advisory Task Force, I'm advising my council member to vote no.
Thank you, Margot. Thank you for sharing that. Dan? Dan, do you want to unmute yourself? And
Yes, sorry, didn't get to
Yeah.
the mute button. I just wanted to say that I'm very much in favor of keeping this route. My kids have taken public transportation on multiple school trips, and going to the School of the Blind, going to the Berger Performing Arts Center, going to Pima County, going to Udall Park. Those are all very important facilities and locations for um, uh, citizens of the city and young kids to be able to have access to those routes, to be able to access those places is very important. So when I think that the previous caller mentioned introducing public transportation to kids at a young age. And the more we make that accessible to them, the more likely it is that they're going to use it in adulthood. And that's a really good habit to get them into early in their ages. And so I'm very much in favor of keeping this route.
Thank you, Dan. Jana?
Hi, I'm Janice Siegel Stormont, and I'm the president of the Pinecrest Neighborhood Association. And also, I've been with Sustainable Tucson, where we've advocated for more bus routes and more time, and spent hours and hours working with the city on alternate transportation, because it's part of the whole climate action plans and everything like that, is to have less cars on the streets. So it's very disappointing to me that, you would even consider taking away this route that so many people use. And as far as like somebody who uses this as my only form of transportation, because we have chosen not to have a car because we are not contributing to pollution and climate change, that I'm very aware of what this route is like, and it's a lovely route. Whereas I also ride the 4 bus, and if you're going to have these students have to ride the 4 bus, there are more homeless people on the 4 bus, and they're also very crowded. The 4 bus is often several times a day. It's very crowded. We don't need the 4 bus to be more crowded. The other thing is, as somebody who is starting to age, it is very stressful for me to transfer buses. The other day, there was no shade at the bus stop near us at Swan and Speedway, and just waiting for the bus to come, I got overheated, and I was going to an educational event, and I was too dizzy to even participate in that event because the sun was so hot, and that was the second part of the transfer at least had shade. But there's a lot of these transfer points that don't even have any shade. If you're going to have these students who right now can hop on a bus and like go 2 miles or a mile to the school, you want them to walk, a half a mile one way and then a half a mile another way to catch one of these buses. It's too much. It's hard enough to get your kids off to school in the morning than to have to worry about them like getting on, transferring buses. Transferring buses in 110 degree weather is just not humane. Please do not take away Route 5, which is a pleasant ride for all of these people, and force them to take another ride that is not quite as pleasurable in the sun.
Thank you, Jana. Sylvia? Sylvia, if you unmute yourself, please.
I forgot about that one. I
Okay.
lived 1 block south of Pima for about 5.5 years, and I rode the 3 to Speedway in Warren to go to work in the health sciences section of University of Arizona. I no longer live there, don't use the 3, but from a humanity standpoint, I'm tearing up now to think about the people who use that line who will not be able to use that line and have to walk either to Grant or Speedway. For me, that would have been a 10-minute walk to Speedway to get a bus to go to work. So, mm, wow, it just hurts to know that people are going to be impositioned because of money. So I'm in support of maintaining Route 3 for Tucson citizens.
Thank you, Sylvia. Dan?
Yep. Hi, Dan Stormont. I'm going to make the same comment I actually made at Martha Cooper, but I do think it bears repeating. One of the things that really concerns me about discontinuing the 5 that doesn't have a good option is the Udall Center is a cooling center for Midtown. And so if there's a power outage or something like that, where you have especially elderly or young people who need to get to a cooling center, which is going to be Udall, that's the nearest one, asking them to try to get down to Speedway to catch the 4 or up to Grant to catch the 9 in 110 plus degree weather is not reasonable or safe. And so that is one of the big concerns I have, in addition to all the things that have been mentioned already about the number of schools that are um, being served by the 5, and just the fact that any route that you're looking at now, you're probably looking at least 1, if not 2 to 3 transfers to get to where you can get to right now just by catching the 5.
That's a great point, Dan. Thank you.
Anything else? Savita, anything else you want to add?
No, but I do want to thank everybody for attending our last meeting. It's very important for us to get your comments. If whatever comments that you want to add, I think are very impactful to hear your personal stories. And the webpage that I put on a couple times, I'll be happy to put it again. There is a place to add comments if you'd like to add comments or suggestions. There's also, you can call customer service if you would prefer to call customer service. We do really appreciate you participating and being part of our outreach meetings.
I would like to add something. I haven't been called
sure.
on. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Go ahead, Carissa.
I had something else. So I wanted to add, because this route also, I know we're talking about eliminating it, but there's a night concern, like when the routes get to be an hour, that night concern gets to be, and I know people have talked about the homeless. My kids have been yelled at when they had to take the other number on the Speedway. The class was yelled at and screamed at, and so half the class had to get off the bus because it was too crowded. So I caution this, and I'm with an agreement with everybody, is that I don't know how this decision was made or how it came about or what on demand means or what the clarification of how money saved is really money saved. That's where I kind of feel I think I don't understand how it was also considered to be a low demand or a low performing route. I don't understand the clarification of that for us and most of the people on this call. This is my first meeting I've made. This is a very high performing route. This is an essential route. This is a critical route, like a lot of other routes. So I just want to caution in making this decision. I've seen the kids that get off at the high school. I've rode with them. I rode with the kids that have to get off at other schools. Again, I say, like, going to the school of deaf and blind is critical. And there's no reason, I think that on demand would be basically a huge barrier for a lot of these people to even try to arrange that before you're traveling. And so I just want to say that I'm in agreement with everybody. I think everybody's made some really great points and I want to support them in everything they say. I'm basically just backing them up. Thank you.
Thank you. Amanda?
Thank you, Krista.
Yeah, I just had a question about how the feedback that's been shared, particularly the concerns, are going to be shared with the city council when this is proposed to them.
Sure. So we do a public input report that has all of the meetings we've been to. We list the number of people who showed up at every meeting, and then all the comments are given to them raw. We don't do anything to the comments. We scan comments. We attach all the comments into the public input report that's given to mayor and council for them to be able to read them. So nothing, we don't do anything with the comments given. We give it to them raw to read as written.
Awesome. I just want to make sure. Thanks, Liz.
Yes, you're welcome, Amanda. I'm just going to show it real quick. I think I'm showing the website. Is the website showing?
No.
No, you're still showing the slideshow.
Oh, okay. Well, let me see if I can change that real quick, guys. Okay, now?
Yes. Part of it.
Let me make it bigger. Sorry. Just want to make sure everyone has had a chance to go on the format here. So here, if you want to put in your feedback, you can put your feedback in here. Name, information, and then just any of your comments, anything you want to put in here. You can also attach a file if you want to put it like in Word. It's easier for you to write that there. You can attach any kind of file there. And this comes directly to us, and any comments we receive here will be added to that packet that goes to mayor and council. And this is a web page that we've been putting up a few times.
Thank you, Luz.
You're welcome.
Deadline for filling out the form. We have to provide all of our materials to Department of Transportation and Mobility by before July 4th. So you can do any of your comments. Mayor and council, just step back. Mayor and council will be having a public hearing on August 6th where they would decide if they're moving forward with this or another option. So we put all of our materials together in the month of June, give it to DTM, and then it will go forward to the mayor and council package. I hope that.
So what do you think the drop that in? Like by the end of the month? We'll have that open by the end of the month, do you think?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So by May 31st, we'll have the comment form still up there, and then we'll remove the option to leave comments.
I hope that helped, Jana.
Thank you.
And even if you don't get your comments in before we send up the packet again, mayor and council will be discussing this on August 6th. So you are welcome to go to the council meeting, and I believe every person who wants to have a call to the audience for that item have up to 5 minutes where they can speak in front of the mayor and council. But we will continue to take your comments and forward them on if we can, even if you don't get it in time.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, this meeting has been recorded, so we will have this up on that same website tomorrow. So if anybody wants to see the meeting, you can see it there tomorrow, and you can share the meeting with anybody who wasn't here, and also share that comment form so that people can submit their comments if they weren't able to make one of our meetings.
Thanks, Luz. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
You
you.
can always reach out to us offline as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to us.
Mhm.
Well, thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.